And now you're saying this isn't enough. But
what does that feel like?
It just feels like there's no awareness of what I'm doing. And in that lack of awareness, it doesn't feel valued. Because it's kind of like
flipping.
This ain't enough. Like, I need more. And you're like, do you know like what I'm doing to do this? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think you've ever said it like that before. I didn't know that.
Yo, what's good? Welcome to the Mowry podcast. I'm Tavior Mowry.
I'm Zandy Mowry.
And this is the Mowry podcast. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you. Sometimes I be saying things just to get a response out of you, just to see if you're gonna.
That's all the time. What do you mean?
All the time I say
and
something.
I most of the time ignore you. I'm like, I know what you're saying, you actually don't want to say. You're trying to get a reaction out of me. So.
Speaking of responses, we're gonna talk today about something that is very triggering.
Well, you don't have to frame it like that.
Not triggering, but I'm saying it could have the potential to be triggering, even. And this isn't like an exclusive like relationship or marriage thing, but I think it's like
business.
A broader picture. Yeah. We're gonna be talking about money today and why it's important and why it's also not important. I think we just want to expand on that. Yeah. So where do you want to jump in?
I'm going to be honest with our friends and family. My brain is like at half capacity right now because Triumph woke up at 4 this morning I don't know. He normally is a great sleeper. Like, we rarely have issues with him sleeping through the night. So this time I heard him cry, so I was like, something might actually be wrong. So I got up, and I think his fan ended up not being on or something like that. But then I went back, finally got him back to sleep, went back to sleep. Then we had to wake up for church this morning. So I'm like, I'm hanging in there, but by a thread.
You want me to start?
I can start just being honest with my people.
I appreciate that.
You know, like letting them in.
Yeah.
Not even trying to be fake and perform. I'm just like, that's where I'm at.
Facts. You want some coffee?
Yeah. No, thank you. I think money is interesting. Well, I want to take us back to like when we were dating and how it affected us then. One, because it starts somewhere. Like, it doesn't just start in marriage.
That's a fact.
But then 2, because I feel like I have maybe a better grasp on that time from a 2020 perspective.
Than current.
Yeah, because and not that it's bad now, but we're still like in the throes of navigating it.
More factors.
Which will always be the case.
Yeah.
But I remember, so we were long distance for like 2 years, and neither one of us had a lot of money. So visiting each other was always a money factor. Yeah. Like, it was always like, how much, when can I buy a cheap plane ticket? How much will it leave me in my bank account for food? Or where you at?
Like, how far do I have to go?
Yeah. Food, gas. Like, thankfully.
Where
like,
I must stay at.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I remember when we first started dating, I stayed at a friend's house who was moving out of their place in LA, but I didn't have money for like a hotel. So I had Tavior, I think that was my first visit out there, I think.
Yeah.
I had Tavior drop me off at a house, and I was just staying there by myself. But it was like, think like moving conditions. There was like one room with a bed in it and still had like some stuff. But other than that, things were in boxes and everybody was just getting out of the way. So that was like one of the first fights we had because Tavior went like perusing around the house.
I was trying to go up in the house and make sure everything was secure, and Zanny was like, you need to leave. Because
we were all setting up boundaries. I was sticking to our boundaries.
I feel that, but also I'm trying to make sure that everything was safe.
I say that to say lack of money kind of puts you in situations like that where it wasn't like he dropped me off at a hotel, we went to my room, locked the door. Yeah. But it was kind of in a situation where it was more like, not sketchy because it was still safe, but it had more factors because of the lack of money. And so it's not really something that we like explicitly talked about, but it also was something that became a bit of a stressor because the moment I say like, oh, I miss you, I wish you could come to my show tomorrow.
I'm jammed up.
Yeah, it sound for him who wants to like meet all of my needs, it directly and indirectly kind of affects his bank account.
Or even us getting engaged. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, right before we got engaged. Let's start there.
Where?
Because I want to start before, and then you talk about the engagement.
Oh, wait, me getting the engagement ring? That's what I wanted to talk about.
I know. I'm talking the season that we were waiting before you got the engagement ring.
Okay.
So, he was still in LA at the time, and I remember this is a very pivotal conversation for me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Conversation?
No, but I forgot about that one. That had less to do with money and more to do with like habits.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was like, so what's our timeline? Like when are you coming out here? When are you gonna move out here? When are we gonna do the thing? Now, what I didn't realize as a female at the time was that he was hearing it through a filter of my desire, which also made him want to do the thing. And so which caused frustration around the fact that he couldn't do the thing that I was asking. And that frustration was because he didn't have the money to do it. So I didn't know that I was like kind of poking at the bear of like what you almost lack, this imaginary version of like, you don't have enough. So I'm saying, I want you to be here. He kind of hears, you can't come because you don't have the money to do it. So like from a heart of a provider, that was super tough. Again, I was completely blind to that. So I was just like, when are you coming? I'm tired of waiting. Like, when are you coming? This man says, well, it boils down to the fact that you're not patient. Do you remember this?
I don't. I'm scraping through my mind trying to find this.
This is over FaceTime. And I was like, what?
That does sound like something I would say. Though.
Yeah, but it was because you had been pushed to a limit.
Yeah, and I was like...
I don't think that you actually thought that. Maybe, I'm not saying I couldn't have worked on patience. I'm saying that wasn't the beginning of your thought, but it was a response. Your back is against the wall.
Facts. Money
in your mind, and you're like, you're not patient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is just an example to me of how money can cause contention, and it can be a factor of disconnection when it doesn't necessarily have to. So then we fast forward to he did get here, and
I was about to buy a guitar.
About to buy a guitar, yeah.
I was looking at like a Gibson acoustic guitar that I wanted, and I was like, Z, like, what do you think about this guitar? And I think you said something along the lines of like,
I'll buy you the guitar if you buy me a ring.
Yeah. Very
straightforward.
You could say that.
What do you feel like it was?
Could be a little like, I'll do this for X, you get Z, you know what I'm saying?
But I'm saying that's literally what the words I said.
I
wasn't like trying to be like stealth about it.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
You're definitely being like, hey, I want this thing.
Yeah.
So like, what's up?
Right.
Anyway, I had to make things shake. I ended up pawning a guitar. I think it was like the second guitar I bought or something like that. Pawning it across the street from the neighborhood I lived in. Got enough bread to buy an engagement ring. But
so then, like, fast forward to now in marriage. I remember my parents, who are counselors and pastors, there was like, and generally speaking, there's always these warnings around like kind of the most common disconnectors or reasons people get divorced, which is money, like a move, I think. I can't remember all the rest of them, but it was like big life change, whether it be like death in the family or something like that. But money was amongst one of the big lists. And I, for the longest time, didn't understand that. Not from I don't know why money could be a stressor, but more so I came from a place of like being provided for. Like my family, I grew up in the suburbs, pretty middle class, had both of my parents. Never.
And you stayed with them until we got married.
Yeah.
So it was like,
so bills was like I paid for a car insurance and my cell phone bill. I'm pretty sure that was it until I was 25.
That joint is light.
Yeah, I was like, and then the rest of it was like gas money, but food and things I wanted to do, clothes or shopping or whatever. Guitars. I bought a lot of guitars at home, and I didn't understand like how. I wouldn't even say always the lack of money, just the topic of money can be a disconnector.
Absolutely.
And so more recently, how deep do you want to go?
Let's talk.
I think one of our more recent fights was around money because I remember I woke up one day and like maybe we asked like how much is in our checking account or something like that. And I looked at it and it was less than I thought it was. So we just kind of scrolled through our statements and we were like, oh, okay, this is where we spent this. This is where we spent this. And I had said, we need to make more money.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
I remember that conversation.
Yeah. And and I was like, okay, if I did this, this amount of guitar lessons, then that'll make up for this, and then I think we would be fine. But I realized his countenance just kind of like dropped. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what's the issue? Like, I'm saying this is how I can help you or us, you know what I mean? By like plugging in these factors and then we can make more money. But the day that we had after that, I think probably the next 5 hours.
Okay.
What'd you say?
I don't remember that much.
Was lots of opportunity for disconnection.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of opportunity for misunderstanding, for defenses to go up, and then for us to turn on each other as if we aren't a team. But like, you're the one with the issue or you're the one with the issue. And I think what I want you to speak on is like, in moments like that, as a wife, I'm more just talking about the us in it. Like, hey, this is what I think our goal should be as a family. How do we come together? And not every woman thinks this way, but this is specifically for me. How do we come together to make that happen? But you didn't hear it that way.
No.
You hear it.
I think it's like, I think on one side, it's like we keep it lit, call spades a spades. Things are not cheap right now, and they're not gonna get any cheaper. You go to the grocery store and you spend $100 and you walk out and you're like, what did I spend $100 on?
And you have like grapes, deodorant, and shampoo.
And you're like, bro, what is going on? Yeah. But, if people have a fixed income, things are starting, like the window and the buffer zone is starting to close in. And I think it was just coming from a place of like, like, we're already making X amount, which is like, you're making X amount. And then it's like, but we need more. And in the flesh, I'm like, dang, like, don't you see what I'm already doing? And now you're saying this isn't enough. But
what does that feel like?
It just feels like there's no awareness of what I'm doing. And in that lack of awareness, it doesn't feel valued. Because it's kind of like
flipping.
This ain't enough. Like, I need more. And you're like, do you know like what I'm doing to do this? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think you've ever said it like that before. I didn't know that.
But like, I think this is obviously like a synthesized thought. Yeah. Because you can't formulate this when the flames are on.
No,
10.
but I'm saying this fight or, argument was maybe a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago now. So between now and here, which is like everything, we have more clarity. So I don't think you've said it like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is breaking news. But I do feel like every man would share that sentiment.
That's what I was.
It's a universal thing, especially the way in which, I don't know how to phrase this. Maybe like the traditional family structure of like men providing, since there's that responsibility, and obviously God is my provider, therefore He provides for myself, you, our family. There still is this responsibility, because it's like, I can be like, oh yeah, the Lord provides for me,
so I'm not gonna do anything.
And then now you're missing a boat,
right.
Like a whole lot.
Right.
So in the flesh, the response is, what? She doesn't see like the sacrifices that are being made for this to happen. When at the same time, I can be like, Lord, I need help.
But I
always,
do,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's good. And I think that how I communicate with you around money and how you communicate with me around money is very important. Because what you hear, Not that it matters the most, but it either helps us connect or not.
Yeah, but like also just a general statement and rule of thumb is people don't necessarily hear what you say. They hear like what they feel.
Yeah, how you made them feel. Yeah.
And that's to a certain degree not your responsibility.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you posture your vocabulary in a specific way to avoid triggering certain responses? Absolutely. But I don't know, you could craft the most elegant in sentences and someone can still catch feelings off of that. And you'd be like, I didn't mean that. But they still caught feelings. So what I'm saying is like, that's not absolutely your responsibility.
Yeah.
I am saying that is my responsibility to communicate how something made me feel.
Right.
So that you can understand why the response is the way that the response is.
Do you feel a pressure around how much money we have as a family at all?
From what perspective?
As a man.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel...
And even beyond our family, I'm thinking about my mom. I'm thinking about my dad. That, like, literally, this is Sunday, obviously. Or not obviously. It's Sunday. But in church, like, that was something that was on my heart during praise and worship. And I was like, oh, I am operating outside of my jurisdiction. It's not my responsibility to care for my parents in that way. It's my responsibility to care for my parents.
And honor them.
Yeah. But to move in the way of like, I'm gonna make you shake, that's where it's like, whoa. Your heart's in the right place and you're being overzealous right now. Because it's one thing to be like, I want to take care of my parents and make sure that they're good and secured, but having the understanding that I am not the one that secures them.
Right.
I'm not even the one that secures myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think the temptation is to feel the pressure that like, yo, it comes onto my shoulders.
Yeah.
And in a sense it does, but it's my responsibility to take this off of my shoulders and put it on Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant with Tri, there was like, my body was changing in a specific way, and then I would try to explain to you how it felt, but there was always like this disconnect of like, you've not experienced this. And I think with men and women, the in the more traditional role, but I also think just the makeup of a man by God, like some of that pressure I don't necessarily experience. But could you try to explain to me what that feels like if you had to put it into words?
I think it's...
Specifically around like provision and money,
Yeah, I think it's... How I could explain it to you is in another example. So let's say we're asleep, house is secure, whatever. There's a sound that happens in the house. You expect me to go check out what that sound is. 100%. I know that. And I also, there's just something inside of me that's like, what is that? It's not like, see, can you go check that out? You know what I'm saying? Like, on some Scooby-Doo, like, Reggie, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you better go check that out.
Z, I heard something.
Z, the door just opened. Like, nah, like, you better go check that out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's that same, and I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that every man is like built to go like do that.
No, this is just our experience that we're talking about.
But it is that like, oh yeah, you better go check that out in your head. And I'm not debating that. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, what's up? What is this? It's the same.
And you would even feel some kind of way if I was like, hey, stay, I'm gonna go
Facts.
check it.
I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, get back in the room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what it feels like.
Kind of like an unspoken expectation.
Yeah.
Of like, this is my this is my lane.
But I honestly feel it comes natural to me.
Yeah.
To do that.
In the moments that it's feeling overwhelming, what does that feel like? Is it the moments that feel overwhelming? Does that come from you being like, I don't know what to do here to change the circumstance, or just like the pressure of it? I mean, the pressure that is on me to provide for my family feels like a lot.
I'm picking up something I had no business picking up. If I'm ever feeling pressure in that way, I'm doing something I have no business doing. It says carry my yoke for its light. So if I'm over here like, this is so hard, like I'm making it hard on myself by not accessing what Jesus is giving me access to. It's my choice to pick it up and to put it down and to pick it up and to put it down. So it's like, what do I choose to do? And that's what I was praying about. I was like, Lord, I trust you and I believe you. Because I feel...
Wow, those are two different things, huh?
They are, to me.
Yeah.
Because the trust is saying that, like, I am going to take your word for it and do it in action. And the belief is me saying that I'm giving myself pretty much like the green light to trust you because I believe you. And
like I agree with what's coming out of your mouth so much so that I'm gonna put my weight on this thing.
Exactly.
Like belief and trust.
So it's just like, I don't know, if you ever like stepped on like a chair or something like that, that you don't know if it's secure or not. You're like, I believe this is secure, so I'm going to trust it by stepping on this. And I'm like, oh, it is. Like, it doesn't even wobble. You know what I mean? There is something I was about to say.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nah, it's okay. Things can get so really lost in the sauce from a perspective of like, okay, I believe that God is Alpha and Omega.
Yeah.
He's the beginning and the end. He's in this moment. He was in the moment that preceded this moment, and he's in the moment after this moment. There is nothing to him that is unexpected. He is aware of it all. So if I'm feeling stressed out about something, because I don't know the outcome of something, but I claim to believe that he's already knows all things and all things work to my benefit, why am I stressed about this thing? Do I truly believe that he's in the future? That he already knows what's happening? And if I do believe that, then I can trust in this moment that it's gonna be okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this is more like a greater question that I still engage with is like, I believe that Jesus was born of a virgin, lived a life free from sin, flawless life, experienced all temptations, never stumbled once, died, rose again on the third day, ascended to heaven, and is gonna come back again.
Yeah. But
I don't believe that you're gonna provide for me. Like, that's a really, 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 really big disconnect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think the thing is one feels ancient. One feels like nothing can
and it's not tangible. You don't wrestle with it every day.
Yeah, it's not something that you're like, well, I mean, and it's something you definitely should wrestle with. Like, dang, how much do I believe this thing? You know? But when it comes down to like when you're gonna eat or if your bills are gonna get paid, that kind of trust, and when you don't see the answer right in front of you, like that requires intimacy and relationship.
And that does require intimacy and relationship, but he has yet to leave me high and dry. Like, I got a laundry list. More than that, I got a highlight reel of everything that he's done for me. And he's never left me, nor forsaken me. but there's still that temptation of like, I don't know.
What if?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, I think that's the temptation to engage with.
Yeah.
That, you know, doesn't have any business there. Let me fix this light. I don't know why it looks so...
Well, it just got dark outside, so some of what you're originally using.
Sunlight.
Yeah. But
it did get dark outside.
As you were talking, I was thinking about how I'll just talk about wives in this situation. There is, and everything we say are general statements. I know there's specific instances that don't apply to this, but just generally speaking, like there is this unspoken expectation of like, just went off.
It did go off. All right, let me plug it in. But you said unspoken
Please
expectation.
pause. Maybe it was dying.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I was like, bro, what? It was slowly unplugged. Okay, cool. Let there be light.
I really thought I had figured it out with the sun going down.
I was
like
so
a mix of both.
I was so sold.
Yeah,
I was like, dang, she right.
Well, it is dark now.
It was kind of moody with as it was getting dim.
Yeah.
I could see like, sorry.
And it was kind of like turning into the spotlight on you, and you're the most.
Yeah,
so,
like I was just the only one in the light.
Good job, LDs. Y'all are really killing it. What I was saying is, I do think, and I know you were talking earlier about your own responsibility, which I 100% agree with, but I do think how we speak to each other pertaining this topic matters so much.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we'll be in harder situations or harder discussions about it. I remember when you were working and you were like, hey, I need to quit this job. And I was like, I don't think that's wise. And it ended up being like hard. Like, I've said it before, but we don't necessarily like fight with disrespect towards each other. If anything, we just feel the disconnection between each other, and the tension of that is enough for us to be like, okay, let's talk it through. But I think what I want to get at is sometimes we as women don't realize that our language can be unintentionally speaking about what our perception of their provision is. So like when I say we need more money, I don't hear me saying you're not providing enough. But sometimes he can hear you're not providing enough. Again, like Tavior said, that's not always our responsibility. But I do think as helpmates and just to care well for who you're with, to say, hey, this has nothing to do with what I think about you or how you're providing. As a team, I want to think of a way to better us, you know what I mean? And better our financial position. But I do think, and why I was asking Tavior so many questions is, I think men have a God-given position and therefore quicker emotional response when it comes to provision that we have the opportunity to care for and not just get annoyed by. It can't just be like, every time we talk about money, you get an attitude, because we haven't had the opportunity to like be 100% in their shoes and to know exactly what that pressure feels like. So what to us may feel like a sensitivity, to them is sensitive. You know what I mean? So if like somebody had just broken their leg and they have a sensitivity towards being touched, I'm not like, you're so sensitive, like just walk on it. I'm saying like, hey, do you need crutches? Do you need a wheelchair? Like, what do you need? Now, again, I'm not saying cater to it, but I am saying care for it. And there's a way to do that in conversation that I'm having to learn, specifically when it's talking about the quality of provision. Because I never want to accidentally communicate, I'm getting poor quality and provision because I don't have the same perspective. The same way that he would not, like if I was on my period, he wouldn't want to accidentally communicate, just suck it up and get through it, because he's never been through it. That's not something that he's ever had to experience. So you can empathize. Now, again, if I'm now PMSing and I'm cussing him out and I'm doing the most, you can set a boundary. So if there's a sensitivity in your relationship where somebody's doing the most, always set a boundary. But also, I just think there's empathy goes a long way. And realizing that we hold very different positions. In our situation, we both work. So, again, it's not like, well, you don't know what it's like to work. Like, I'm the one who works. I'm like, I do work, you know, and I'm not a man. So there's always just that difference to me. So when I think back about people being like, money can be a reason for divorce in your marriage, it is about the money, the actual tangible money, and both of us being good stewards of it. And I think the deeper layer is about the emotional language you have around how to communicate about it. And are you for this person? I'm for you. You're doing a great job. This is just something that we as a team can figure out. Not, why don't you make more? Or I wish we had, you know, the passive aggressive stuff. I wish we had more. But I guess this is just where we're at. I just want to, and even you saying earlier, gosh, what was the sentence you said? It was like the clear line. Do you remember? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
I don't remember exactly what
I think
you
I
said.
was talking about maybe not necessarily appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were. Like, my response can sometimes feel flippant. Like, because it feels like directly pointed at the value of what you are providing when I only talk about what you aren't providing.
Yeah. I don't know if I phrased it exactly like that, but the sentiment was, it just feels not accounted for.
Yeah. I didn't know that. And I think that's worth knowing. Again, not to baby you or anything, but just because I don't have the same sensitivities. So I need to. Darius sent me this video. Did he send it to you about the pastor who was talking about marriage is taking care of needs that you don't have? So it's essentially saying, like, as a man, you need respect. The women, we need respect, but not in the same way. Women, we need like love and affection. You need that, but not in the same way. So it's willingly going, I want to serve you in a way that I don't always experience. I want to take care of you in a way that maybe I don't always experience, you know? And when both people are doing that, you get through life full and not just always like, dang, I wish I had. Yeah. So under kind of the same umbrella, when I think through money, I think about, I want to communicate with you in a way that I probably don't need to be communicated with. And I want you to feel like you're a really great provider, not because I'm like, he's really not, but I'm just trying to, you know what I mean? But I want you to know that you're a good provider based on what I'm communicating with you and not just like what I communicate that we don't have. But I can get so in my strategic kind of mind that I assume that you already know that I know that we're good. And that's not always fair.
No. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I think as women who serve and love God, provider absolutely is his position, but ultimately the Lord. So I can't put extra weight on you as like, figure it out. You know, we get to go to the Lord and be like, Lord, how do we figure this out? And when both of us, like you were saying, take that yoke because it's easy and light, the opportunity for disconnection or to turn on each other becomes way less because it feels like us against the problem and not me against you. And not even problem, like, because we had a air conditioning issue the other day and we had somebody come and look at it and he was so sweet.
I love to end on this.
Okay.
Like, concept wise.
What was his name? Do you remember? I know, I can't remember either. He was from Ireland, though.
Kind man.
Yeah, so kind, had an accent. I'm always going to talk to anybody. So I just started
That's a fact.
a conversation with him. And we were kind of crunching numbers. We were trying to figure out, like, could we? Because he was like, you probably need a new system. So we were like, do we get the new system? We definitely can't pay for it outright. But then how much would that be a month? How much would that be interest-wise if we pay for it over the next, you know what I mean? So all in the kind of potential stressors of money.
Facts. Just like, dang, this is a crazy hit and you need AC for sure. can we make it shake until maybe we don't need AC?
Exactly,
like, you know
which is what we chose.
Which is what we chose, and like I pray to the Lord
every day. I'm so thankful
that it be working with the heat though, because if it gets cold now,
but the timing seems to be good. Like if we need to,
facts,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you, Lord, for wisdom there.
Thank you, Lord,
and also for this guy. I can't remember his name, but
Jesus
he was so
Christ.
sweet, and he probably was in his 60s. Like he was older than us,
grandparent.
Yeah, and I was just honest with him. I was like, honestly, like we're in a position where we're already getting hit financially outside, and like I think we're gonna have to need to wait for this. And he said, you know what? I want you to remember this. If money can fix it, it's not a problem.
It's not a problem. And that really puts things into perspective. Mm-hmm. Like if money can fix it, it's not really a problem.
Mm-hmm. And that was so kind of him to even treat us like humans while he's doing his job in sales.
Or even like his kids. Yeah. Like that's like on
he kept saying that. I would tell my kids this.
Yeah.
While he gets money by selling us something. Facts. And he like put that aside and was like, listen, if it's gonna put you out, don't do it. And then also
don't stress about it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do it and don't stress. If money can fix it, it's not a problem. And it just made me think about people who are sick and people who, you know what I mean, just don't have family, community, like lots of things that money can't buy. And that is not our issue. We are not in a position where we're like, our son is sick and we're trying to figure it out. Like, and I'm so thankful that is our story. And it makes money, like you were saying at the very beginning, it matters and it doesn't matter. Like,
because like it, in scripture, money's mentioned. I want to say money is like one of the second highest mentioned things in the Bible. In Ecclesiastes, it speaks about how money is a shield, like it's a defense. And that's true. You know what I mean? It also speaks about how like it's difficult for a wealthy man to enter into heaven. Not that it's impossible, it's just difficult because money, as it is, its function can be like a shield, whether it be like the economic marketplace and the environment giving you the opportunity and ability to, is that a cricket?
Yeah, step on it.
Jiminy. Giving you the ability to withstand whatever's happening. People quite frequently put their faith in it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I'm straight. Like, I got the bread. Like, it don't matter what happens, rain, sunshine, or whatever, I'm gonna be straight. And that's not the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And this is just like a biblical principle, but why tithing is so important.
Exactly. Surrender
and not making it something in your heart. I think it's Proverbs where it says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And if all of my emphasis, all of my trust, all of my peace is wrapped up in how much money is in my bank account or how much money I see coming in or how much I can strategically invest and then return and like all of that, like it's, the enemy has access to it. He could take it away like that. And honestly, God has access to it.
Well, yeah, he's the one that really has access to it.
He also can be like, hey, this isn't healthy for you.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna remove this so that you can just see me rightly. And the practice of tithing, which we did today at church, of going, this is yours. Like whatever you have whatever plans you have for us through this money, like you do it.
It is a very interesting relationship, money, because it's like on one side, yes, like save, invest your money, set up these things,
be wise,
this wisdom, but you can't make that your saving grace. You know what I'm saying? So it really is
and that
an
is
act
something,
of surrender of like having this understanding that like, although we have this particular set of data that would suggest something like security, this is a false sense of security, even though it can be used to secure things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still the awareness that like this is not my provision.
Right.
God is my provider.
Right.
He provides me by way of this, and this is not an idol. I have money, but money doesn't have me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that causes, like, for, I wouldn't say easier marriage, but an easier opportunity to talk through money while married.
Yeah.
Because if money is the thing that provides for you and your job is the one that gets you the money, so you have to work and then he has to work, and you can't talk. Because then you're talking about identity, not just money. So, but when you can separate the thing and be like, we're talking about this topic together, and you're talking about me, Tav being like, you're talking about my provision, or me thinking, I'm just trying to communicate with you, like, why are you being sensitive? You know, like, all of that ends up making it about us, when money was always meant to be separate from us. Never an idol, never the thing that provides for us, whether that be like emotional peace or just, peace ultimately. Like, no matter how much money I have, my peace has to come from the Lord.
Because there's so many wealthy people that, like, in the desire and search of security, they feel way more anxiety than they did when they didn't have it. Because now it's like, what happens if this gets taken away? You know what I'm saying? As opposed to Job being like, yo, in this world I come in naked and I leave this world naked. And I had a lot, I didn't have a lot. Now I got a lot again, but that doesn't change.
Right. And it's just such a temporary thing.
It is. It's so fleeting.
And I'm like, we have so much pressure on it. Like, again, we want a great quality of life. Like, this isn't us being like, just give it all away and don't care. But it is saying, like, put it in its proper place. Like, let it be, make money, invest money, like,
give money,
dream and
donate.
Ask for.
Yeah.
I was in the grocery store the other day, and I had this, like, overwhelming feeling of, like, I wish I could pay for everybody's groceries.
Facts. In Jesus' name, I pray that we have the opportunity and ability to.
And I just was like, kind of slowing down because I didn't have Triumph with me, and like looking at the people and encountering, like, you know, just as people go by the aisle, you're like, oh, excuse me, or whatever. And I was just like, I don't know where these people are at. I don't know if they could pay for the store's groceries themselves, or they're like, I'm just trying to figure out how to. But I passed this lady a couple weeks ago now who was like on the phone trying to figure out food stamps and like, can I not buy this kind of a thing? And I was like, I just want to be in a place where I'm like,
I got you.
Don't worry about it.
Actually, go back and grab whatever you want.
And I've done it a handful of times with like a family, or there was like a family who was like, do you have like 50 cents, we're short? And I was like, yeah. And then,
yo, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm frustrated with myself because we ran out of room on the SD card, or not on the SD card, on the hard drive. I'm upset.
He's so hard on himself, and things like this happen. And it's okay.
I know, but I think the reason why I'm upset is because if I would have prepared properly, I would have been like, oh, this wouldn't have happened. So I think I'm disappointed with my lack of preparation.
Okay, but I understand that. I get that. And there's a learning curve. This will probably never happen again because this happened. You know?
I pray.
I'm saying, like, you remember when the mic wasn't working when we had Taj's episode?
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, wait, let me check that. Like, now you check things. So I'm just like, I think it's good to be like, man, if I would have prepared differently, and grace in the learning.
Right.
There has to be. Otherwise, you're just going to feel
upset.
Anytime you have to learn something, you're going to feel upset.
Learn
as
a
if
lesson.
You're supposed to know everything all the time.
I just took a L.
A lesson.
Thank you for watching the Mowry podcast. It cut off when you're about to help the lady with food stamps.
Ultimately, I think ultimately what we were saying and where we landed is money, and he may have said this already, but you have money, don't let money have you. And the way that you make sure that doesn't happen is, because I realize everybody's in different situations, and we are so fortunate to be like-minded in this way, and we've never used money to shame one another. But that's not everybody's story. But the way that you can avoid disconnection in the topic of money is by biblical principles. And like going back to what the word says about it, which is Tav was talking about God saying, if you as a man know how to give good gifts to your son, how much more do I know how to?
Facts.
And he also said, like, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap, yet your heavenly Father provides for them. So how much more will I provide for you? And when those principles are like etched into your memory and you believe them and trust the person who's telling you them, money doesn't have the potential to be a disconnector because it's outside of you and in his hands. So we were also talking about how we've been on the side of not enough and we've been on the side of abundance. And the thing we're most grateful for is being connected through both. So that when we're what we feel as lack, when there is lack, we hold each other. And then when there is more than enough, we can celebrate together. Instead of having to pick up the pieces of a marriage now that we've made it through the financial part.
Right.
And I can only imagine how draining that process would be and why divorce becomes an option.
Yeah.
If anytime something goes wrong financially, we turn on each other, we're always at the mercy of our circumstance.
Facts.
And not at the truth. So, like I said, I don't want to try to oversimplify things because I don't know everybody's situation, but I do know that God's principles apply to every situation. And when it's talking about how you approach money and how you posture yourself submitted to the Holy Spirit, and you learn from him and you walk with him, like money doesn't have to be the end all be all. That's why Tavior said at the beginning how money matters and it doesn't. Like, because at the end of the day, life is life. One day we're going to have more, even like at a person who just works a normal job, when the first comes around, you have more money. And then you pay your bills, you have less money. Like, it is a constant ebb and flow.
Yeah, it's called currency for a reason.
Yes. And we
money's
can't,
always moving.
I can't put my identity in something that changes that quickly.
Yeah, because you're going to be going up and down.
And we have experienced that. When we do, we go up and down. And then it's, how much did you spend at the grocery store? Okay, we shouldn't eat out for, okay, we shouldn't, okay, well, let's try to make it. Versus, don't worry about tomorrow. For tomorrow has enough trouble on its own.
Also with the wisdom that, like, let's steward this correctly. Not like, hey, let's go ball out real quick.
Right.
Don't worry
Sushi
about tomorrow.
on me.
It's like, no. Like, let's steward this, but also, like, let's live for today.
And I think stewarding comes from a place of trust.
Yeah.
Like, this is yours. So there's an honor in that, too, of, like, let me do right by you.
Facts.
Not
absolutely.
like, cool, well, I'm going to just do my own thing.
Nah.
But it does come with, like, a humble responsibility of, like, I want to do right by you. God, I want to do right by my husband. I want to do right by Triumph. Like, I want to set him up to where he's in a place that we weren't when we first bought our house.
It says a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Right. So there's wisdom and there's the desire to have more is not bad. It's when you put that priority.
It's natural.
Yeah. Is when you put that desire to have more in the place of God and try to get peace from having more is when it's always going to crumble.
Yeah. But thank y'all so much for watching the Mowry podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. Please like and subscribe. We thank y'all. We see y'all in the comment section. We're so grateful for the community that's being built. And until next time, peace.